Hello everyone, today's video is a showcase of the Mandalorian Bandai model kit. Even though I start my channel doing modification of clone troopers, I figure many of you won't mind this video due to the popularity of the Mandalorian TV show and Din Djarin's armor. It just looks complete badass. Ever since I first started seeing images of the Mandalorian TV show leaked several years ago, I could not wait for the toy representation of it. Needless to say, 2 years later, I've yet to get a decent representation of it. The Black Series, which is this one and this one, has a weird helmet to it. For some reason, it's a bit too wide and it kind of goes in over here. So I'm not too enamored with it, and I thought that maybe the SH Figure Arts, which is this one, it's going to do well. But unfortunately, it has a kind of a tiny helmet. If you can see over here, the helmet's a bit small, and the neck is a bit stunted. So that one ain't that good either. I don't know why. This picture looks great, but for some reason, I saw many reviews of it. I wasn't very happy with it, but I got it anyway. So kept it in the box. Then, about a year ago, I ordered the Mandalorian Mafex figure, which just came. This one's delayed for a year, and it finally came. I like it. From the videos I've seen of it, the proportion seems right now. However, the armor is still a bit too matte for me. It's just kind of a matte metal, and so I decided, you know what? I picked up the model kit and decided to give it a stab. So this is the model kit cover. Of course, it's not blood. Actually, don't worry about it. I didn't bleed all over it. It's actually red paint that somehow got dripped all over it. So I decided to give it a stab and try to see whether or not I could do my own rendition of it. And from the reviews, the proportion seems right and everything, and it's on the slightly bulky side of it. But overall, as you can see over here, the proportion seems fine. I'm quite happy with the way it turns out. So this video will document my journey of how to get the right finish to the Beskar, which is actually very crucial, and some of the challenges I've encountered. So for those of you who've gotten a kit, you know that unfortunately, if you just build it straight out of the box, you won't get a good result. You've got I actually got the non-silver version. It came out with 2 versions, but this is a non-silver version. But the silver version is basically a lighter version of this. And as you could see, the plastics that they use for this is actually leftover part. Strange to actually have Boba Fett parts interspersed with it. So these are parts that weren't used. And you can see that, of course, there's these little swirly things that happens with the plastic. And, of course, it's not reflective at all, right? So this doesn't pass for me. And if you could see, actually, these are the other parts. If you could see, actually, the underneath clothing parts, the finish is also shiny, which doesn't make sense. And of course, if you don't paint the details in, like all these little things are painted in there, if you don't paint it in, you get just a very plain plastic modelly type of looking thing. And strangely, many of the details don't come in part separation, but instead they come in these, they try to make you resolve it with these stickers, which is absolutely horrible. So I did not do any of that, as you know. So just a quick run around then. So this over here is just a matter of trying to strike the right finish for the Beskar armor. Of course, the undercoat, I actually painstakingly painted it and weathered it right here, just quickly, just to kind of show it to you. Okay, here you go. So every single video I got drop my figure somehow. So This is how it looks in the back. This is how the gun is holstered. And I've got to say, I actually quite happy with this model kit. I didn't break anything, good. So, as I said before, the main thing that I've been really trying to achieve over here is the reflexivity of the armor. Okay, let me just remove these so you can better focus on it. I almost dropped it again. So what I do for this, I actually have these things, the Molotow Chrome pens. And if you look into online, there's going to be many different videos on this. This stuff works like a charm. This stuff is awesome. And I'll tell you later on how I applied it. The tricky thing about this stuff is that it's not really about the application itself, but really about the varnish, the clear varnish that you put over it. Because for some of the people that don't know, what happened is if you actually use regular top coat on this, and you can see it here, it'll completely destroy the reflexivity of it. And I did it over here with this part over here of the gun. And it's okay because this is not Beskar, so I decided just to kind of show to you what would happen if I just sprayed it regularly with the regular top coat. Whereas with this, you can see how reflective it is, right? And later on, I'll tell you how I achieve it. For those of you who question why is it so important to put a clear coat over the stuff, is this. First of all, if you don't do that, you get fingerprints on it, and when you handle it, and also when you rub off on it, it literally just rub off after a while, and then it'll get dull, and that's not a good effect. And of course, you don't want this toxic chemical on your fingertip, and you go and eat a sandwich or something like that, and you know, it's just not good. I've been going online and I've been thinking about how to achieve it, and there are many solutions, but some of them have the all-clad to this varnish that's being sold online. It has to be applied with an airbrush, but the solution that I've came across is actually use floor wax. And for those of you who don't know, actually it's been a common thing that model making community have been using for the last forever. They use future floor wax, and it's actually not really floor wax, it's actually an acrylic based compound. And in the end, as you can see, premium acrylic floor wax, what happened is after you apply to it, it will actually harden and it will form a coat over it, hence the overcoat of it. And you have to get future floor wax, from my understanding. Now Pledge actually bought it, so it's called Pledge multi-surface floor finish. That's what I heard, but I couldn't get it on Amazon, so I got the next best thing over here on Amazon, and I got to try it out. So again, this is the result of it. So what I do, of course, making the models, some of the stuff that you have to keep in mind. First of all, I have to actually, for those of you who don't know, models, because they come in these trees, they actually have they're made from molds, right? Obviously. So there's mold release agents they're basically stuff that put on the molds to make the plastic releases better. And that stuff sometimes could still be on the model kit itself. And so what would happen is then the paint would actually not stick that well. It would do weird things to it. It's never happened to me before because I've always been washing it with a slight soap. All this is just water and some slight soap in it. You rinse it out, and then afterwards you dry it with a towel. Don't dry it with a hair dryer, because pretty much you'll warp it. And then afterwards, then you will go in with a black primer to it first. It's usual common knowledge that black primer would actually be best for metallic finishes. It'll come out to be more realistic the way it looks. So give it a try. And then the Molotow pen. There are many ways of people applying it, right? Some people actually use the pen refill and then be able to put it into an airbrush and you spray it on. You get something very nice and even with it. But from what I've heard, actually, it's actually not the best results that you get with this. Unfortunately, I don't have an airbrush, so I just be able to just use the pen. Either you brush it on or you use the pen. And from my understanding is that on small surfaces, it's actually okay to just use the pen. As you can see over here, that's what I've done. It's okay. Only place is sometimes it will get kicked up. And you can see in the chest armor that you start to see streaks here. And I'm not very happy about this. But in the other parts, actually, it seems okay. So after you're done with this, then you actually take the pieces and instead of airbrushing or brushing them on, you actually take a cup of this stuff, pour it in there, and you literally just dip the stuff, the model pieces in there, and then let it dry. And of course, this stuff, you gotta make sure, disclaimer, this stuff you actually, the chrome pen, you actually need to wait for at least a day to dry. I used 2 days just to make sure. And this stuff is very volatile. And then afterwards, you then dip it in there and then you wait for an additional 12 hours to dry, to cure, which then I would actually use a day just to make double sure. And then after all the things are cured, I would actually use panel liners. These things are actually washes that you could put on there, and you could, and then what happened is it will actually make some of the corner and crevices be able to be accented and shows up. And then later on, I'll go over with this rust color too, just to give it kind of a warm color, because otherwise it will look kind of like just regular shiny plastic. So glossy reflective plastic, that's not good. So right here, instead of doing a sticker as advised, I actually went in there and I painted this. This I actually used the chrome markers, and this I actually used a sponge, put it in, put silver paint in there, and then make it really dry, and it just dab it on there for this effect. And this is how it went. So that's pretty good. So that is the reason why you also have to put a varnish on it, because in order to do all this post-production stuff onto the chrome finish, you actually need to have a varnish in there before you can actually do other things to it. Otherwise, again, it'll just completely eat up the chrome finish. So so then let's move on to the next thing, which is the undercoat. I actually went in and painstakingly matched the colors for, this is the Tamiya spray paint TS69. This is for the more lighter, redder finish. This is actually for the rest of the model kit undercoat, which is actually a primer. It's called Mr Hobby Mr Mahogany Surfacer 1000, and it works like a charm, and it has a matte finish. And what happened is, then I would use again, what I would do is I would then use this weathering applicator, Tamiya Weathering Master, these weird names. Anyways, yeah, I use this yellow color, and very much I brushed on some of the highlights on there, and of course I put in a dull some washes on there, some black and dark brown washes on there, just to get the crevices to pop, and then be able to highlight it and then spray it and finish it. This over here, I actually just took some silver paint, and I actually just did some quick dry brushing on there. Very, very simple stuff. And then I finish it with a gloss finish. And over here I took some weathering over here. And of course, you know, then this, instead of using a sticker, I would then use I'll spray paint it painstakingly, and also hand painted this part in there. And the gun, as I showed you before, it's just basically filling a bunch of details in there. And so that's pretty much it, you know. I'll give you guys a couple more quick spin on this model. Again, I like it very much. The cloth in here, I usually don't like soft goods because it usually looks silly. This one's actually nice. I actually like this one. If you get the model kit, you realize this is a type of cloth that's actually heavier, and it just falls down so nicely. Only problem is the way this stuff, the way they have it constructed is a bit weird. It just kind of, as you can see, comes in a little piece, but if you don't really look at it, it actually looks okay up front over here. And this is just to show the finish of how nice this comes out. Of course, I might even buy another kit just to kind of perfect this, because it does look a bit scrappy, but not bad for a first try. So here you go, the final shot. I just got this spinning turntable over here just to add an extra nice effect to it. So as you could see, I'm quite happy with the way this turns out. I hope that you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys, if you decide to go out there and enjoy building this thing, it's doable. It just takes time. It's a bit challenging. It just takes some patience to do it. But if you guys were actually to accomplish this, or I'm sure even better, then I think you will have a very nice representation of the Mandalorian figure. So until next time.